Hello, so who here watching this video thinks they know how to write and deliver a quality speech? Well, it's much more intense and in-depth than you would ever think. So today, I'm going to inform you on how to write and deliver a quality speech by giving you 8 simple steps on how to write your speech and some tips on how to successfully deliver it. So in choosing your topic, you want to look at two main things according to communicating a social, career, and cultural focus. The first thing you want to look at is that you want to choose something that you're interested in. This will give you an easier time giving your speech. The second thing you want to look at is your audience. You want to do an audience analysis to be sure that the audience will stay engaged the entire time you're giving your speech. So you may be asking yourself, what is a statement of central idea? But according to my notes from my Comm 107 class with Katie Brown, a statement of central idea should lay out what your speech is going to be about and exactly how you're going to give it. It should be about one sentence long. So when you're collecting research, you need to make sure that you're using credible resources. Using credible resources will be sure to validate your knowledge to your audience. You also need to make sure that you make a works cited and that you orally cite where you got the information from throughout your speech. Finalizing your statement of central idea is extremely important according to communicating a social, cultural, and career focus. That's because once you do your research, you might realize that your speech is going to go in a slightly different direction, and that's completely fine. You just need to make sure that your statement of central idea properly lays out what you're going to talk about and how you're going to talk about it. There are a variety of ways to organize the body of your speech per Katie Brown. The first is that you could do a spatial arrangement, which means that you organize your subtopics by geography. You could also organize your subtopics by time. You could divide your topics into smaller subtopics and start with the biggest topic and move to the smallest topic. You could create a causal arrangement, which creates a chain of events. And finally, you could do a compare and contrast arrangement or a problem solution arrangement. Pick the one that will suit your speech the best. So there are three main aids that you can use when delivering your speech. The first is visual, which is a picture. The second is audio, which is a sound file. And the third is audio-visual, which is a movie, according to communicating a social, career, and cultural focus. When picking your aids, you want to make sure that you're not using too many or that you're not using enough because you don't want it to detract or deter from your speech. You want your audience to be paying attention to what you're saying and not putting all their attention on your aids. So be sure to choose intelligently when picking which aids you're going to include in your speech. So for the introduction, you want to introduce what you're going to talk about. You want to give a brief overview, state your statement of central idea, and be sure to get the audience's attention. For the conclusion, you want to summarize what you just said, but be sure not to just repeat it verbatim. You want to keep your audience's attention, maybe even use a clincher or something creative to make sure that you leave a mark on what your speech was about in your audience's mind. Finally, you want to polish your speech. Go through and make sure your grammar is correct, make sure that you have all the information where you want it to be, make sure it's correctly organized, you have a solid introduction and conclusion, and finally, make sure to double check your sources. You want to make sure that you have correct works cited and oral citations because if not, that's considered plagiarism. So now you have the basics on how to give a speech, but here comes the more complicated part, delivering the speech. First of all, you want to make sure that you enunciate and pronounce your words correctly so that your audience understands you and can get your message. Second of all, you want to maintain eye contact. Make sure that you're engaging the audience with your eyes and you're not looking up at your PowerPoint or down at your note cards because it can be extremely distracting to them. So you're now probably asking, can I use note cards? Yes, you can use note cards, but don't write everything down on them. Jot a few notes down, maybe your oral citations so you don't forget to say them, but you don't want to rely on them. Ideally, you should be able to give your speech without your note cards. And third, body movement. Body movement can be extremely distracting. You want it to be natural, and you don't want it to be too big. So make sure that you're not standing like a stone or that you're flailing your body so that your audience can focus on what you're saying, according to Katie Brown. So overall, giving a speech takes a lot of preparation and hard work, but it can be done. Now you know the basics of writing, preparing, and delivering a speech. So here's a final tip. Don't get too nervous. It's really not as bad as it seems. Once you're up in front of your audience, it really will be a breeze, as long as you have practiced your speech and you really know the information on the topic. Good luck on your first speech!